Most condo mistakes don't feel like mistakes at the beginning. The day you get the keys, it feels great. You're excited. The place looks clean. The lobby smells new. You're picturing your couch in the living room. Nothing feels wrong, and that's the problem. Because most condo mistakes don't show up on day one. They show up later, usually when you try to sell. And buyers don't react the way you expected. They hesitate. They compare. They negotiate harder than you thought they would. And you're left wondering, what am I missing? Most of the time, it's not that you bought something bad, you just bought something average. And average needs to compete. Today, I'll walk you through what I've seen happen over and over again in Vancouver, especially downtown, so you don't end up in that same position. Not red flags, not fear, just patterns. Because downtown exaggerates everything. If you understand downtown, you understand condo behavior across the city. Let me tell you something I've watched happen more than once. 3 identical one-bedrooms list in the same downtown building. Same stack, same layout, 2 floors apart. One seller thinks, my view is slightly better, so I'll price higher. Another thinks, I'll price right in the middle. The third thinks, I just want it sold. When buyers walk in, they don't fall in love. They compare. Why is this one $15,000 more? Why does this one show brighter? Why is this one still tenanted? Why is this one vacant? It stops being emotional. It becomes analytical. And when that happens, price becomes the only separator. And that's sameness. And that's what most buyers don't think about when they purchase. They think about how it feels today, not how it competes tomorrow. If a building has tons of identical units, your unit needs to have a real edge. Now contrast that with this. Same building, corner unit, different exposure, light from 2 sides. When that one lists, it doesn't compete with the 3 other units in the stack. It stands alone. That seller negotiates differently. That's leverage. And leverage is what protects you later. Another pattern I've seen. Beautiful building, modern lobby, glass everywhere. You walk into the unit and something feels slightly off. The couch blocks the balcony door. There's no place for a proper table. The bedroom fits the bed, barely. The den technically is a den, but it's practically useless. At first, buyers rationalize it. It's fine, we'll make it work. And they do, until they try to sell. Then every new buyer walking in notices the same thing. Where does the dining room table go? You can't actually close this off. It feels tight. Finishes can be changed. Structures can't. And in selective markets, and Vancouver does become selective, structure gets exposed. Layout flaws that were ignored during hot conditions become negotiating leverage for buyers later. Buy the best layout, not the best backsplash. Let's talk exposure. I've had buyers fall in love with units near Granville. Great light, good price, very central. Show it at 2 p.m. on a weekday. It feels fine. Then I'll say something simple. Let's come back on Saturday night. That second visit tells the real story. Energy is different at 11:30 p.m. Some people love it. Some people realize they don't. And when you go to sell, the next buyer will make the same discovery. Noise doesn't kill value, but it narrows your buyer's pool. A narrow buyer pool means less leverage. Before you write, come back at night or on a weekend. Now let's talk about the part most buyers completely ignore, the building itself. I worked with a client once in a beautiful, older building, great location, solid concrete, spacious units with real wood floors. They fell in love. Then we got into the strata documents. The strata council had a philosophy: keep fees low. On paper, it sounds great. Buyers love low fees, but low can also mean deferred. They had been pushing critical maintenance down the road for years. The roof was original. The piping was nearing the end of its life. The contingency fund, the building's emergency savings, was critically underfunded. They were kicking $1 million problem down the road. When my client went to sell 3 years later, that problem arrived. The building hit every owner with a massive assessment, a surprise bill, completely foreseeable. No one wanted it. Buyers walking through didn't see the wood floors anymore. They saw liability on top of the purchase price. The unit sat. An identical unit in a better managed building down the road sold in a week. That's the difference between a low fee and a healthy fee. You're not just buying four walls. You're buying into a shared business with your neighbors. And if that business is poorly run, you're responsible for the debt. A weak strata council is a flaw in the structure of your investment. Just like the layout, it gets exposed on resale day. Low fees don't matter if a big bill is coming. Now let's talk about amenities. The marketing for new condos is full of glossy images. The rooftop pool, the full gym, the 24-hour concierge, the party room with a chef's kitchen. And you think, look at all this value. It feels great on day one. Here's the pattern I keep seeing. The amenities own you. I had a client in a building that had everything. Pool, rarely used. Bowling alley, touched a few hours a month at best. But they still paid for the pool chemicals, the lane maintenance, the full-time staff to run it all. The strata fees were $600 higher than a comparable building down the street with a simple gym and a meeting room. When they went to sell, those fees did exactly what high fees do. They narrowed the pool. The young couple said, I could put that $600 towards my mortgage. The downsizer said, I travel 6 months a year. Why am I paying for a pool? A buyer who sees high fees is a buyer who negotiates harder. Amenity-heavy buildings attract a smaller, more specific buyer. Smaller pool, less leverage, another form of average thinking, something that looks like a luxury but becomes a self-imposed tax on your resale. If you won't use it, you're paying for someone else's lifestyle. Downtown also has buildings with a lot of smaller units. Nothing wrong with smaller units, but when 450 square foot units list at once, buyers compare aggressively. They look at the light, the floor height, the view, renovation level, strata fees. Small differences, suddenly they matter a lot. And if you're buying compact space, you need something that separates you. You need to be on a higher floor, a protected outlook, a better layout, something. Because small and average is easy to replace. Small and intentional is not. Small is fine. Small and common, that's the problem. Here's the bigger idea. You're not buying square footage. You're buying a future position. Some units compete, some units attract. The difference isn't obvious on day one. It's obvious on resale day. And that's why most people wish they had filtered differently. You don't need to avoid condos. You need to avoid average thinking because average units compete. Strong units attract. If you want help filtering properly, not just reading the documents, but selecting the right unit inside the right building, book a call with me directly. The link is below. It's easier to choose well up front than fix regret later. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.